You're
68,
19.
69, 70
Okay.
was when I really became aware of like the culture and what people were rebelling against.
And did you actively want to be in it? Like,
I actively was in it for a while.
right.
I mean, I was like a
Woodstock was
war
when?
protester. I was like part of the tax revolution. I mean,
You were?
If I would have hooked up with the Merrymen to blow up like AT&T or the phone company.
Who the fuck is the Merrymen?
Well, they were the Weathermen.
Oh, right.
Actually.
Right. We just had a special on
If I
that.
had met them,
Yeah.
I would
You
have
would've-
been one.
Wow.
Because I was so like vulnerable and I was so like angry at the establishment. And I really
You really
felt
were.
Like,
At
yeah, I felt well. The war
that
was
age?
a big thing
I know.
because I was losing.
You knew people.
Yes, I knew people, and I had girlfriends who lost brothers, and it was like, why? You know, my own father said if my brothers got drafted, he wanted them to go to Canada. My own father.
That's amazing.
Yes, it is.
Wow,
My
'cause
father
that's
was very
not-
anti-establishment.
Really?
I have to appreciate that in him. Yes.
He might have given you that streak.
Yes. Yes.
That's so cool.
Well, because my father didn't end up in World War II because
Why?
he lost a middle finger in a factory job he had. Like, he worked in an ice cream factory. When he was a young man, like 19 or 20, and lost a finger, so he couldn't like be in the service, which is probably a godsend. I mean, he believes.
That finger probably saved his entire body.
My mother's war, his cousins, everybody was in the war then, and it was like when they didn't come back,
What?
it really affected my father.
Did you know anyone personally that didn't come back?
From the Viet War, yes.
Really? People that mattered to you, though?
I grew up with them. I played with them. You know, in the
You saw him get drafted.
volunteered.
initial-
They volunteered. He volunteered for the Marines. Others were drafted, like friends of mine.
Down the line, maybe a little
Yeah.
later down the line.
But I helped my brother John write.
Did they put in the container for you? Or is they working?
I'm finished, thank you.
You don't want anything?
No, thank you so much.
You don't like it?
Oh, it was good. Very good. I'm happy. Thank you so much. Oh, can we get a peanut sauce too?
I helped my brother John write a paper to be a CO, conscientious objector.
Yeah, that was legitimate. Like you can actually get away with that.
Yeah, and then after we wrote it, that was when he was in his like junior or senior year of high school, and then they came out with the model for the draft, and he did get a high number.
Wow. So he got lucky.
Yeah, he got lucky.
He could have been
But
conscripted.
we did the paper anyway. That was sort of like a
Really?
back. Oh yeah,
Oh,
we
wow.
did the paper before that.
Who the fuck would you submit that to? Someone in the War
The
Department?
draft
Or-
board.
Wow.
Draft board.
Wow, and they respected it sometimes?
I think so, which was really kind of funny because my brother John growing up was like the little tough guy in the neighborhood.
He was the boy, right?
I wish I had.
Did
my
he get
hands
in a
on
lot of
that
fights?
paper now.
Oh, wow.
He had gotten in fights, but then in the '60s, you know,
He became like a pacifist,
Yes,
or-
he did. Well, yes, and he started to go on this like spiritual quest. And, like we had friends, older friends who went to California, were doing this like mystical journey.
In, like,
came back,
San Francisco
and
Bay
would
Area?
Share it. Yes, yeah.
Telling
We
stories
had
about.
one friend who was really funny. He told a story like after the war, and he went to California. He actually came out here because he was going to commit suicide.
Wow.
He ended up in Berkeley and smoking weed and doing acid
And happy.
and learning
With a different
to-
purpose.
Eastern philosophy and religion, and so
It saved his life.
saved his life.
So with that kind of advertisement, it, it just
Well,
made
yeah,
sense
those
for you.
stories. It was like, yeah, I want to be a part of
You all
this.
didn't defect at the same time.
I defected first,
Really?
but my
At
brother
what
John.
age?
Oh well, I was 20, 21. I
Did
was
you have
almost
any
20.
real connections to...
Nobody. I knew nobody out here.
Wow.
I knew of a house
Thank you.
I knew of a house that people were ending up at from New York.
Like the address.
Yeah, the 47th Street house.
Oh my God, where was it?
In
47th
Oakland.
in Oakland.
Right off Telegraph Avenue, 10 minutes from Berkeley.
And did it turn out that that was legitimate?
Yeah,
Did you go?
I did.
How did you get there?
Well, I hitchhiked cross country at the last minute. One of your dad's friends decided to go with me. He had just
Fitz?
graduated. Yeah, he just graduated from high school.
And he loved you, right?
No, I think we just were like, you know, we were friends. We were
Okay.
smoking together with a bunch of people.
How do you? So, does he have a car, or what? How the hell?
No, he had money and I had money.
From working?
And stealing.
Stealing from who?
My ex-brother-in-law.
Oh, from the whole thing.
Yeah, and I tried to get some of my girlfriends to go with me, but none of them wanted to.
Really?
But I was going to either buy, because I had money, I was either going to buy a VW Bug for like $2,100, or I was going to, hitchhike. And I decided hitchhike.
Keep the money.
Keep the money.
So you just started.
And then
You started
on the
sticking your
last-
thumb out. What, in New York, or do you get
Friends
clear
dropped
New
me
York
off
first?
on the New York freeway with Fitz. It was like that week. It was like I really started getting nervous because I was going to be going by myself, and I brought a knapsack and a sleeping bag
Like
and
a hobo.
mess kit and all that stuff. And then when it was coming down to the last week, I started getting anxiety. And all of a sudden, Fitz said he wanted to go, and I was really glad.
What a
It was like,
relief to
what
have
it was.
somebody looking out for you at
Especially a
least.
guy,
Yes,
you know.
that's
Even
in.
though I was probably tougher than him.
Is that right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I
Well,
remember.
I was like 2 or 3 years older than Fitz, too, you know, and
Oh,
he looked like a
well, that
baby.
makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're 17 or 18, right? He was a kid. He was
Yeah,
just
he
a
was
kid.
a kid.
So you set out for that place in Oakland.
So they dropped us off at the New York Thruway, put our thumbs out, and the first guys that picked us up were like a blast. And we ended up staying with
Is that
them.
right?
We ended up like going up through Canada, camping out. I mean, it was like really fun.
Really?
Then came back down.
Just 2 dudes, 3 dudes? How many?
Guys, and they were just so sweet. They might have been gay, I don't know.
Right.
So,
Yeah, back then.
they would like the first. It was so fun. I felt so like secure, you know.
They gave hitchhiking a really good name.
After that, everybody who picked us up was a no. It was like anybody. I realized anybody who picks somebody up is awesome.
Probably. Yeah.
So it got really interesting along the way. Well, partway I thought, well, somebody who picked us up told us about a festival going on in Colorado. There was a guru coming.
Oh my God.
And they made it sound like I was going to see God. And I started thinking that, oh my God, that's what all this is about. I started getting like so excited that I was going to see
To
God.
eat, to meet God. They really were convinced. They
Oh my God, they were so excited and they were telling
Wow.
me about this guru, and I was just like excited.
Okay.
And so we get to this festival,
Thank you. Yeah.
and these guys are walking around in robes, you know, like
Monks.
they look like Buddhist monks or something like that, and were selecting people to go get they called it satsang, you know,
What?
satsang. You like went off to a tent for them, and you got taught, you know, teaching.
Oh, that sounds dodgy.
And they didn't pick me.
Right.
They didn't like select me, and I started getting very insecure about that.
I would too. You're there to meet God, and these guys are getting in the way.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. So what
And they
happened?
picked Fitz.
Oh, they
That made
did.
it worse.
How long? Just an hour? Or?
Hours a day. Hours a day. So it was like
Whoa.
after we were there, like maybe 2 days.
You were left out?
Yeah, I was left out. So I would go around and mingle with people and do all that kind of stuff. But the day was coming. Finally, the day came, and I was just really hyped now because I was going to see
Finally.
and have a spiritual experience. and it's like,
I'm gonna go to
you
Europe for a little bit.
know, huge crowd. There's like, I don't know, I'm gonna say like 50,000 people. I mean, it
Dear
was
God.
it was big. And all of a sudden you start seeing like limousines like kicking up the dust.
What?
You know, like
Get outta here.
And I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, and all of a sudden like all these like robed guys get out, and there's another limo, and
Monk-like
finally-
dudes are getting out of limos.
Yes. And then finally, the guru gets out of the car. And
Of a
he's
limo.
the short, yes, the limo.
No.
The short, fat, 16-year-old boy. With what looks like a harem around him.
Holy shit.
And I was like, that ain't God.
Wow. That's a kid, a
I
16-year-old
was
kid.
so disappointed. I hardly could hear a word he said after that. I was just like, this is so fake. What is wrong with these people?
Wow. Did you meet this kid at all?
No, people were dying to kiss his feet and be touched by him, and I was like, it was just like,
Wow.
we're getting out of here.
Was Fitz willing to stay, or
Fitz wanted to stay, and I'm like, well, you can stay, but I'm going. And
so he said, "All right, I'll go."
it was
That is
so
a riot.
disappointing.
But
It was
but
so disappointing.
spectacular. I mean, that's
Oh, it was.
so. If you're going to be let down, right? You at least want a story. That's a
Yeah.
great story.
It was a great story.
What a trip. I mean, so there you go from Colorado. You're in Colorado now.
Yeah,
You're
Colorado.
two-thirds of the way.
Oh, we were almost like there in California. So it was easy to get a ride out of there. And I think the rest of the trip was uneventful until we like got to California. And
What happens then?
As soon as
You get to the house.
as soon as we started.
What do you
getting-
think the house was going to be?
Well, first of all, approaching California and going through the hills, like over 80, I started getting really excited because it was like golden hills. I'd never seen anything like it. And then my first view of like the bay, you know, and the bridge, I just was like jazzed. And it was like,
I bet.
this is like better than seeing God, you know.
Yeah.
And when we got to 47th Street, it actually looked like the house I just left in the Bronx. It was like a two-story, like wood frame house in a poor neighborhood. But you know what? It's so good to me compared to like where I left.
Yeah.
And when I went in the door and we got inside, I mean, people were smoking weed, people were doing different things in other parts of the house. It was just like, wow, you know, this was really
Cool? Is that cool?
It was cool. I was very.
You didn't have like the instincts to nest that a lot of women that age.
Well, it was nest like.
Nest, yeah, to make it
No,
a
there
home.
were some
and-
women there who like had kids. There were some little kids
Oh,
there
wow.
who were like, you know, reminded me of like Kathleen. You know,
Wow.
like they were little like 4 and 5-year-olds,
Kids.
a 3-year-old, that kind of thing.
in a commune.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, they were. It wasn't really a commune. It was worse than a commune because it was like people were like it was a different flow of people almost every day.
Really?
Yeah.
What? I mean, do you
Like
pay?
people were
Do
hitting
you pay to be
town.
there?
No, we didn't pay anything. Some guy from Ohio.
No.
Yeah, he owned it, and he just like, and he was the weirdest guy. He would dress all in black, and his hair in a ponytail, and he had boots on, and he would just like pace, you know. And he seemed like happy to have people there, like maybe he didn't want to be alone, kind of thing. But he never talked.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Never?
No, never.
What the hell is he about? You know?
No.
To
I
this
don't
day.
know, but he never bothered anybody, and he was kind of cool. He'd get high with you, but he just like didn't talk. He wasn't a talker. And apparently
Was he
he wasn't
older?
a killer. No, he was like our age.
How bizarre. It wasn't a small
Bizarre to
house.
open up your house to like the
Strangers.
world, you know.
In such a way, not timid. I mean, you knew about it.
But he ended up loving like me, and when my brother John came out of
Whoa.
later on
Really?
in the summer, I was the first wave, and then people probably through word of mouth heard about his place and it was cool to be there. So my brother John came out.
Wow.
And then after that your dad came out. Like by September your dad came out. But my brother John, when he arrived, my brother is very like, he wants the place clean. Well, we're both very. Since we grew up, we were very like we were the ones who clean the house, paint, fix up, make it our space,
Yeah, right.
homey. And so that was our task. So I forget the guy's name who owned the place. He loved us because, I mean, we swept, we cleaned, we tidied up, we cleaned the stove, you know.
Wow.
We cleaned the bathroom.
Wow.
So it
That's
was
a riot.
it
But he
is.
really liked you.
Yeah, he liked us both. He didn't like me in that kind of
Oh,
way.
okay.
He just liked us. Yeah.
And why do you leave? Dad gets there.
Oh, well, when your dad got there, then it was, I wasn't with your dad. You know, we were just friends.
You knew him, yeah.
He was best friends with my brother, John. But I always loved his dad. I liked him. He was really funny. He'd hang out with us at our house all the time. His mom died like in his junior year of high school. And my parents said to him, "You are welcome to come and live with us."
Wow.
But he didn't live with us. He had his own room.
Yeah, right.
And his sister and grandparents lived like in the area, so they would look in on him and his brother.
Wow.
But
Wow.
so your dad comes out, and your dad had money too. I had money. Your dad had money, and we decided that we would get an apartment together. Not just together, but with our
Wow.
crowd. who
Right.
came from our
Of how many?
friends. There were probably, well, John Hunter had a few. John Hunter was in the Navy on the naval.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you even do that?
That
You
was
got to be back home, I guess, right?
He was in
On leave.
California.
On leave.
He came to California and went AWOL, didn't go back. He had it, and we were sort of like harboring him. You know, like
Right. No,
we had a
literally.
place, and then a few of his Navy buddies also did it. And so like there were at least 3 or 4 Navy guys there.
Wow.
And our crowd, must have been at least a dozen people.
How many rooms?
So we rented a few bedrooms. You know, I mean, it was wall-to-wall sleeping beds.
Oh my God.
No beds or anything
Wow.
like that. And we would go up to Berkeley for the free meal every day. It was like a picnic party, you know. You know, we'd go listen to organ music at some church in Berkeley. We'd just go hang out in Berkeley and meet people and go to the bookstores. And if there was
Be
free
hippies
music,
and be
yeah, if there
hippies.
was free music, we'd go do that. We lived on nothing, you know.
It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing.
And then we decided to make the pack even smaller, your dad and I.
Really?
Yeah, we wanted like some more comforts, like a
Right.
bed and things like that.
Right.
You know, like a kitchen that you know, not so many people. Well, John ended up turning himself in anyway. We drove him over to Alameda, which is a big naval base. And we dropped him off, and they put him in the brig. And then your dad and I would go visit him. Your dad and I started getting close. And then when we decided to, this house became available in Oakland. That was like an old style, kind of like turn of the century house that was condemned.
Oh my God.
And we went to visit the architects who were going to had plans for it, and it was going to get torn down.
Okay.
And your dad and I went to visit them, and they let us freaking live there for pennies.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't turn off the electric on us. I mean, your dad and I still shook our heads.
That's wild. Why are they? Yeah.
I don't know.
How long were you
But I
there?
remember going to their really nice architecture office in Berkeley, and it was like,
You
these guys
hippies,
are
too
like
hippie.
professional, like they were young, you know, like maybe a little older than us, young. I was very impressed by them, and you know, but they must
Cut you
have
some
liked
slack.
us.
How long did they let you do that?
We stayed there a few months. That's where you would conceive them.
In a condemned.
So it was really funny because
Oh my God.
oh my God, it had a fireplace. It didn't have heat, and it would get cold. So your dad and some of the other guys who lived there. There were a few of us. Some of the Navy guys would cruise the neighborhood
Cypress wood.
Fucking wow. And
Like-
tell me they got creative, right?
And abandoned furniture, and it was like it was.
And they break it down
they'd
and
come home
throw it
with
in the-
stuff.
A questionable, like
Seriously,
That's
Christian.
hilarious.
It was like your dad
Everything.
tells a much funnier
like a
story.
potpourri of weird shit.
Oh God, yeah, it would be
funny.
hilarious. Your dad was at his finest.
What a
truly.
run! Is that right?
Oh yeah, it was so fun.
This is in 72, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens with you meet John, or John meets Pat where?
Oh, so then Pat Bergen came out with your dad
Oh,
in a van that was like non-stop from New York to San
Direct.
Francisco.
direct.
And like your dad said, you'd be peeing outside the van because they wouldn't pull over. They only did a certain amount of stops.
How bizarre!
And if you didn't like go when you had
You're
to
out.
bed, it's like you're on your own.
Wow.
And so he says he was peeing as the van is doing like 80 down the
That's hilarious.
And Pat Birdie came out with him to be with John.
Oh,
But
really?
John had just gone up to Smartsville because he was going to go back east to see Pat. And he gets picked up by a bunch of Jesus freaks.
Yep. Oh,
And he got converted.
holy shit!
So here Pat comes to California,
Right.
and
Oh,
she's
wow.
like, he's up there, and he's doing that. And my brother Donald came out at the same time too, and we go up there to bring Pat Birdie, and we like goofed on that scene.
Cut,
Like
just cut.
Donald, my brother Donald.
Oh, I bet
when
he's
he saw
hilarious.
people speaking in tongues, he would start singing like the Rolling Stones, like "Sympathy with the Devil."
Oh my god!
It was so.
I bet. I mean, I could imagine
Oh, he was
what a character he is.
Uh-huh.
I mean, to this day, I think no one insults people with more sort of, flourish than Uncle Donald. I mean, he really has got it down to an art.
I think when he got his jaw broken,
By who? Random?
when your dad and when I found out, well, I didn't know I was pregnant yet, but after that house that was getting torn down, your dad and that's when we decided we were going to go back east. I don't know why.
Wow, that is
We
strange.
did. That is weird. I don't remember why we did that, because I didn't even know I was pregnant yet. Come back east. We were living with my parents
Oh,
for a few weeks, and they said, we'll give you money to either have a wedding ceremony, a wedding, or you can take the money and go like rent an apartment, all that kind of thing. So we took the money to rent an apartment.
Wow.
And then I found out I was pregnant. And so my brother Donald, he had an apartment, me and Joe, he came back from California, Donald, and he lived with us for a little while. And one day, he got his jaw broken. And we
By
felt
who?
like the universe was
that was
trying
a
to
sign.
teach him a lesson.
Really?
Yeah, because, he was just so out of hand. And I started fearing for him. I can't believe that he's still alive, really.
I mean, even from what I saw,
Yeah.
I mean, installing storm windows with them in New Haven. I mean, he's
And he hangs out with people.
no, fucking weirdos, man, gun-toting weirdos.
That's right. And so it's amazing he's still alive, but he didn't learn much from the jaw broken.
That's funny. What a wild. I mean, why did you? When did you go back to California?
Oh God, that was such a mistake. We realized that a few months into it. Well,
You're in-
what
where are you
happened
living?
was I found out I was pregnant like in April, February. So you were like two months I'm pregnant, and I was working a job, and your dad was working some horrible piss-ass job. I mean, it was awful. And I went to visit the hospital that you were going to be born in, Jamaica General.
Yeah.
And
Shit.
I came back and said to your dad, I am not having a baby there.
No shit.
It was like a
Wow.
freaking
Yeah, I know. It's
prison.
notorious.
I was terrified.
Because you were living in Queens or near?
We were living in Queens, but that summer, so we were living in Queens from like April, May, and in the summertime we had friends. Fritz's family had a house up in the Catskill Mountains, and we were going up there for like the summer weekends. And So when I said I wasn't going to have you there in Jamaica, we decided at the end of the summer to live up in the mountains.
Wow.
And so we left our
That's
stupid...
wild. You just said Catskills.
Yeah, well, and it was so funny because, oh, I know my sister and my mom were freaking out because here I am pregnant and I'm like, going where?
Right,
And
camping.
your dad's got long hair and
Beard,
it's like you
right?
can't find a job. So we go on
He was a
welfare.
long hair. Oh no.
We got welfare. We lived in this really cute house that we were renting. I had a private room in the hospital when you were born.
You just lived off the system.
Yeah.
No shit.
And
Good.
But your dad, once you were born in December, your dad had said, if he doesn't have a job by the spring, we're going back to the city. Oh, and I hated it for that.
Really?
Are you still working?
I'll keep this, but you can take everything else. Thank you. And can I get some steamed rice?
I'm gonna pick
Yeah.
this. Oh no,
Yeah, thank you.
I'm just slow.
Yeah, thank you. You didn't really? That
I
sounds
did not
reasonable.
want to go
Like
back.
spring.
I know, but
You just
to go
hated the
back
city.
to the city. So we end up in the city, and you know where we are? Living with John and Carol.
Oh.
In that horrible place they lived in with their crazy dog and Sean. And her parents hated us. And I know why.
Why? Because you were long hairs
Such a
or
bad
what?
influence. I mean,
Really?
we were radical. I mean, we were crazy hippies, you know. And Carol.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Would you like to add anything more? Because the kitchen will be full.
I think we'll be good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hey, Mom, want a bite of this? This is really good. So good. Carol's parents, I can only imagine. Oh, they must have been just so weird, right? Weirdos?
Everett.
Because Carol's really
and,
weird.
Yeah,
to me.
Everett and I forget his name. He's still alive.
Oh my God.
He's like in his, I think he's 90 now.
I can only imagine Carol's parents.
Well, John and Carol have lived in the house with them now all their
In Middletown? Right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. That's a trip.
Yeah.
I mean, in Middletown of all places, which I just consider like the armpit of New York. Horrible. Horrible place.
I'll never forget. It reminds me of like, I've never been to Appalachia, but it reminds me of like,
Yeah.
because I remember like it was a rainy, grim day, and people had their laundry hanging out. And I was thinking,
I never met more kids. Like, the kids hadn't been to the city.
right?
You're an hour away, and had never been. They're in high school and never been to New York City.
Can you imagine? Yeah, that's true.
That's far out.
Well, the same thing with people up in the Catskills.
I bet. I mean, that is, for all intents and
It's like
purposes,
another
the
world.
Appalachian. Yeah, it's Deliverance, right? How long were you there?
John and
long.
Carol's.
Yeah, not long.
And so this is what happened. We decide after, so we're living there through the summer, and we decided we've got to get out of here. We're going to go back to California.
Okay.
So, and then we convinced John and Carol to go with us.
Wow.
Well, Carol didn't want to go.
No.
No way in hell. But John was like, we're going to go. So your dad and John, we bought a bread van. You must have heard that story.
No. Are you kidding me?
A bread van.
A bread van, a van that
Yeah, they
delivers
used to
bread?
deliver, yeah, in the city, like, they would, like, you heard
With
of
the surplus?
Pentiments or
Of course.
Wonder Bread with
Of
the
course,
red, yellow, and
yeah.
blue balloons. There was a truck that used to have red, yellow, and blue balloons on it.
Was it a Wonder Bread van? Oh my God. You bought a
Painted
surplus
over, but you could
Wonder
still
Bread.
kind of see it. And we filled it with freaking mattresses. And we were going to drive cross country in it. And we got as far as New Jersey.
Until
Oh my God.
what?
It
Failure?
was so, it broke. The van like blew
Wonder
up.
Bread
or something like
fan.
that.
The Wonder Bread
And you
fan.
know, we had a dog in it and 2 babies. And I think of this now, and I'm like, no wonder Carol's parents hated us.
We were
If Becky
idiots.
was ever going cross country in a van with Nava, I would
You
be
know, Wonder Bread fan with
like, that's child abuse. You cannot do that. I want custody of
You'd
that
lay in the
child.
road. Yeah, you would
Oh
not
my
let that happen.
God, I so understand that now.
What a riot. Oh my God. So what happens in Jersey?
So we ended
Gotta
up
get out of
getting
there.
back to the city, but we
Wow.
had some money, and Carol and I ended up flying to California because John and Pat rented a house for us in Yuba
You went
City.
luxury. I mean, flying. That
We
was
flew, but your dad and John were left with a broken down van
Right.
to either like get it fixed or save money to get out there. So your dad and John didn't make it out there for weeks upon weeks. And your dad told me when he got out there, it was like, I didn't know if I was ever going to see you guys again.
Oh my God.
And,
That's a riot.
and Carol was miserable while we were out there. I was miserable.
Imagine.
Yuba City. I don't know if you've ever been to Yuba City. It's right next to me.
Horrible.
It's
Equally
like
worse.
150 degrees
Horrible.
in
Horrible.
August. And John and Pat end up, like your dad and John just get out there, and all of a sudden John and Pat tell us they're moving to San Francisco.
You're moving again. Oh, that's a riot. Thank
They're
you.
moving with the ministry down to San Francisco. And we were like, oh, this can't be true.
Oh, that's a
Just
riot.
can't be true.
That's great.
And
And they do, right? They do. But that's for good. In the
and
end,
that was
right?
your, yeah, they ended up in San Francisco. It was good because until we got it together, and while we were, after they left, well, as soon as we got there in Yuba City, your dad and I both started working.
Really?
Yeah, we
They were
counting-
hiring hippies. Huh?
We were counting prunes.
I don't understand. I thought you said counting.
Prunes. We just had a laugh about this
Oh
when
my
he was
God.
here. We were telling my brother. Because my brother couldn't remember like what we were doing there.
Right.
And I'm like, we had these very powerful, influential jobs. It was in quality control.
Literally
the job
counting.
was to like the grader would bounce the prunes, and you picked out 5 of them. You know, like you counted out 5, put them in a bag for like testing. And
Oh my God.
I had the day shift, and your dad had the night shift. It was like that, and we'd pass you off in between.
Oh,
We
so
only
the
had
prunes would
one-
not go uncounted. That is a riot. Did they pay anything for this? I mean,
Yeah, we got paid, and apparently we must have saved enough to get the hell out of Dodge
wow. And go to San Francisco.
and move to. Ended up back in Oakland.
Oh no, thank you though. We're good. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
They were living in San Francisco, and we moved back to Oakland, almost the same neighborhood that we left where the
Really?
condemned house was.
Wow.
And the day we were moving into this apartment, I mean, it was in December, so you were almost a year old.
Yeah.
And we're moving in, and they are carting out a body of a guy who overdosed. I'll never ever forget that. It's like he's coming down the stairs with the ambulance drivers, and we're like moving in, and I'm like, this is not a good.
Oh my God, that is a bad omen.
Yeah,
But you go anyway. 'Cause it's,
I was.
thank you.
Oh my goodness.
You can take this away. And
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Anyway.
I was like
Can I get one more or 2 more bowls?
7 months pregnant with Becky,
Empty 2 bowls. Yeah. Thank you.
and I was 7 months pregnant with Becky.
Wow. A body. A dead person.
Yeah.
In the same house. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a trip. I've not heard 90% of this. This is you went through quite a lot to be where you were.
Oh. Yeah. That's why my brother and I'm so close with John. I mean, he was there.
Thank you.
And even though we were there in that house,
John and Pat would like come. They started coming now. Like every weekend, we had like real butter. I would make a dinner. Like we'd have a beer or two.
There you go.
They would. I
Living.
wasn't drinking. And they just like got away from the commune for the day. You know, bring Rachel over. I mean, we'd spend the day at the park. I mean, you know, it was like little things just meant so much. You know, it was fun. We'd watch Saturday Night Live together on this little like black and white TV.
But that was it. That was fun.
That was fun.
What a trip.